Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Howdy y'all, Randall Laughlin here. We're on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And if you're watching the show today on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channels. We have two of them. One is the USA Global TV and Radio channel, and the other one is Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Really appreciate your subscription. Before I get to my guest today, real quickly, my book, Aging Sucks, has been written. It's in beta reading right now. We have a video trailer coming out. Things are just moving along. So the 4th of July looks very, very hopeful for my release. I see nothing that's going to stop that or slow it down. So everything is looking really, really good. I think July 2nd is a book launch or something. Anyway, very close to July 4th, we have a book launch. When I'm not doing this here on the TV, I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. That's what I speak about. That's what I write about, primarily focused on longevity and age-related disease. When you look at my book, Aging Sucks, we look at the balance between damage and repair in every cell in the body, because literally every second damage is occurring and your body's ability to repair it keeps you healthy. That's what the book is about, is we age based on a number of factors, not a single one, but just a number of them. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into our guest today. Jim Hetherington is a return guest, great guy. I talked to him a while back, life coach, business coach, author, just a number of things, many years experience in the field. So Jim, please join me up here.
Hey, Brad, good to see you.
I want to congratulate you first, because I know last time we chatted, you had an event in Philadelphia that you wanted to set a Guinness Book of World Records. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and you tell the world what happened and why we're celebrating.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, I appreciate you bringing me on and talking about this, because you can see the plaque here over in the corner. I proudly display that now. So about a year ago, I started a conversation with Guinness to talk about having a record attempt for the most authors signing the same book simultaneously. So we went about to achieve that, and we did it. On May 30th, we had 142 of us gathered in a room, and we signed the same book, which is entitled Legacy in Ink. And we thought it was fitting because of, the 250th anniversary, Philadelphia being the birthplace of the Declaration of Independence. And so we really wanted to really focus on the importance of capturing our words. And so we're able to do that. We actually had about 190 people in the book. Only just under 150 of us joined the day of the event. But yeah, it was an exciting day. I could not anticipate the excitement and the energy that was in the room once the adjudicator said we had broke the record and it was official. The place was just electric, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, congratulations. That's quite an accomplishment, and something that, you've been working on this for what you say, a year, and to have that come to fruition, to be successful, it's just amazing to me. I think a Guinness World Records is, you never get there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And that was the fun thing, growing up as a kid, I always read the book. I read about the records, and I thought, it would be a fun thing to be a part of. And we actually had a girl there the day of, her and her mother, they learned about the book probably about 4 weeks before. So they just got in under the wire, got into the book. And this girl, she's 14 years of age. She has a rare blood disorder. She's traveling all over the US getting treatments and all this stuff. And guess what her number one wish was? to be a Guinness World Record holder. And so we got her in the book, had her on stage where she was able to fulfill her dreams. So it was like a make-a-wish thing for us, and it just made the day. It just made the day.
I can imagine. I'm kind of feeling that right here. It's as a almost over 40 gallons of blood products donated. I've had a couple situations that just kind of fill your chest. You just really feel proud of it, and that's kind of what I'm hearing now. That if that's what her wish was and her condition, I am super glad that she made it.
Yeah, we were too.
Okay, last time we talked about your life coaching and business coaching and things like that. Today we're on the Corner Bookstore, and so we're going to look at your writer's journey. And I know you're a big guy on stories. So tell us the story of your writing and authoring journey.
Yeah, so it snuck up on me. It wasn't anything that I ever saw coming on my radar. Growing up as a kid, I'm dyslexic. I had a list problem growing up as a kid. By the time I hit grade 9, I had about a grade 5 reading level. By the time I turned 16, I quit school. I was just fed up with trying and struggling and the challenges of just writing and doing all that stuff. So I struggled most of my life just with education. And about 15 years ago, I crashed and burned because I was just working way too many hours, and my body just said, we're not doing this anymore. And during that time of recovery, I met a lot of really amazing people, and one of them was a man by the name of Raymond Aaron, and he talked about writing a book, and there was something inside me that just got excited about that. And I thought, wait a sec, this doesn't make sense. I'm dyslexic. I don't like English. I don't have a high school. Nothing made sense, but I got excited about writing a book. And so I wrote my first book, and I just fell in love with the process of writing. I then wrote a second book, and while I wrote that on my second book, I discovered that a lot of authors that were just as excited as I was about launching their book and publishing them, they were pushing them aside and forgetting about them. And that's why I really started to focus in how we could leverage opportunities, how we could leverage the wisdom we put in our books. And that's what I do today, is just spend a lot of time not only working on my own writing, but helping other authors and supporting them on their journey along the way as well.
Jim, I have only one joke about dyslexia. I'll pass it on to you. You can use it or not. Did you hear about the dyslexic atheist who didn't believe in a dog?
No.
Anyway.
That's good.
For what it's worth, it's yours.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so you wrote a book, and you wrote another book, and you said, hey, this might help some other people. And that's your story, and you're sticking with it.
That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And, I had the opportunity of working with a couple of New York Times bestselling authors, took some writing classes and so on, and then I developed my own system. And so that's what I teach today, is I teach people how, just in a framework that I've developed, and it's helped people with extreme ADHD, for example. They're all over the place at the best of times. And so this framework that I created, it actually helps them to, once they get the framework, they can play around inside the box, but it just works really well for them.
Okay, so you wrote the first book without a system, and then you started thinking about it, and you say, hey, there's probably a better way of doing this. And not only that, there's a better way of doing this and sharing it with other people.
Yeah. So, I did have a system, because when my first mentor, he did teach the system, and he had a way to, help me get through it. And then the second mentor that I had, I just gleaned a little bit from him, and then I just kind of put the two together. And I said, okay, this is a system that works for me. And that's what I share and teach today.
Okay, I run into people fairly often. They're speakers, and I say, do you have a book? And I'd be surprised. I am surprised at the number of speakers, professional speakers, who don't have a book, but they speak so easily on a myriad of topics. I know you're an international speaker. I know you're an author of many books. Anyway, so when you get to a situation where you're helping somebody, are these people that will be using this book in their business and their speaking and whatever?
Yes, because that's exactly where I start. I start with the business. I just say, what is the outcome? If your idea is just to write a book, just to say you wrote a book, wonderful, right? You might give out half a dozen copies to family and friends, and that'll be it. But you can say you're published, you did what you wanted to do. But for somebody like you're talking about, that's a professional, that's an expert in a particular niche, they need to have a book, but they need to think about the business. They need to think about what they want that book to do for them, and then start to reverse engineer. And that's really what I stress, is just, if the book makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody should have a book. But what is the business? What is it we really want that book to do for us is really what we need to focus on.
I had a email yesterday. It was kind of surprising because I haven't talked to this person now probably in 3 or 4 years, but she was a daughter, granddaughter, or I'm not sure what the relationship was, but the guy was 88, had written a book and needed to get it published because he wanted it for his family. It was a memento of his life. And so we got it published pretty quickly, and he was happy. And then all of a sudden I found out he passed away, which is not unusual. But we chatted back and forth on the email. But that was one thing that brought a lot of joy to his life at the end of his life. Is he did pass on a legacy to those who really mattered to him. Yeah, and I think that's a big deal. I really do.
It is, and I agree with you. I think it's it's a tragedy that people go to the grave with stories still untold. Because there's so much wisdom, there's so much experience, there's so much stuff that they could pass on to people. And we need that desperately today. We need that more than ever. We need that life experience. We need those experiences. I tell people all the time, there's 3 L's that we go through. We go through lessons and learn and lead. And so the lessons we go through, we have to learn the lesson. We have to learn what it is. And then from there we can lead. And I think it's a tragedy when we keep those life lessons, those things that we've learned, and keep them to ourselves and don't pass them on to the next generation. So I'm really encouraged to hear that man did that. Even on his on his last days, he actually fulfilled that and did that. I think that's fantastic.
The movie Blade Runner, the second one, at the very end of the movie, there was a statement, probably about the second or third to last sentence in the whole movie, and the prime character said, "Like tears in the rain." Because he's talking about all the stories, all the places he's seen, everything is there. But as soon as he's passed, it's gone. When I did my dad's obituary, I titled it "Like Tears in the Rain," because those memories are there, but they're lost because all of a sudden there's nothing there to share. I asked my dad, I said, "You ever miss a plane?" My dad was a pilot during World War II and Korean War and stuff. And I said, "Dad, do you ever miss a flight?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "Tell me." And it was in Manaus, Brazil. And for whatever reason, he missed a flight. Plane took off with 22 people on board, never seen again. And I mentioned that at the wake, and my mom didn't know about it. But again, a lot of people from World War II and Vietnam and stuff, unless you ask them a question, they're not going to volunteer anything. Yeah. And so, but if you ask them, most of them will generally pretty much tell you, but they're not the kind to share that as much as you see some of the more current veterans.
Yeah.
But those, as you say, the stories are there, and the stories are what really sell your book. I mean, we can have a lot of facts, and you might be able to help a lot of people in business or speaking or anything else, but it's fact, cold hard fact. But we need a little bit of levity, a little bit of get me out of that doldrum of okay, I agree. So how do you intersperse? How do you weave in stories when you're working with a client?
Yeah. So when we go through things, oftentimes I'll start with the experiences and the things that they've gone through. And I think that's one of the biggest things, with your example of people going through the war, they hold those tight to their heart, right? They keep them close. And because they've lived through those experiences, they don't see the value necessarily of sharing that experience and what are the life lessons. And so that's often where I start, is we start talking about the experiences that they've gone through and say, okay, what kind of experience or what kind of story goes with that? And what kind of example did you have around that? And as we start to unpack that, they go, oh, well, I went through this. And I learned this lesson because of this experience, because of this traumatic experience that I went through, or missing a flight, or doing whatever. We pull back the curtain a little bit, and then they can start to see the value, and they can start to see the importance of that story. And then as they share that, people can now interject their own story into that story, right? As they're listening to it, they're going, oh, I had a similar experience. It wasn't as traumatic as that, but it was a very similar experience. And I did learn some valuable lessons from that. And I think that's really the way I like to encourage, people that I work with to unpack those things, because it's not until they step back from those experiences that they can actually see the value in them sometimes.
Jim, we're going to take a break, a commercial break here, literally in the next 10 seconds or so. When we come back, I'd like to talk about how do you begin marketing the book from a book launch or from the beginning of writing the book or whatever your program is. I'd like to talk about the marketing side of it. So when we come back from the commercial break, we'll do
Great.
that.
Every great story begins with a vision. At USA Global TV and Radio for years, we've been providing world-class education, entertainment, inspiration, imagination, connections, and hope. Most people don't stay to watch the outro or the credits, but it's the people behind every success, behind every breakthrough, and behind every unforgettable story who matter. The TV show hosts, our guests, our sponsors, our publicists, our production team, our distribution team, our search engine optimization team, and so many more. You're the ones who make the difference. Every great story belongs to the people who bring it to life. Our future looks bright at USA Global TV and Radio, and that's because of you, our loyal fan base all around the world in more than 60 countries. Together, we're making a difference because you matter. USA Global TV and Radio, live streaming to over 60 countries. Voiceover, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Video production and direction, Paul Garcia. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube.
Howdy, y'all. Revel Laughlin here. We're on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. My guest today is Jim Hetherington. Jim, please join me back up here. Okay, just before the break, we said we talk about your marketing things. I know you get involved with book launches, but I just started marketing my book about 3 months before I ever even started writing it. And I was surprised at the buy-in I was getting from comments back and forth on social media. So how do you work marketing with an author when you're working with them?
Yeah, just exactly what you're talking about. We start, months ahead. People say, when's the best time to start marketing a book? I said yesterday, right? Regardless of where you are, yesterday was the best, is the best time to start. But it's just talking about the book, because I think as authors, especially as they're writing the book, as they're going through the process, as they're sharing some of the ideas and sharing some of the content, they're getting real-time feedback from people, right? The stuff that's hitting nerves, the stuff that's not resonating, the stuff that's really resonating, and then you can focus a little bit more on that. So it's a great way. People come to me afterward, they've created a manuscript, and they said, well, I want to get some beta readers or some alpha readers to kind of go through my book. Well, what a great way to start getting some beta readers than this marketing, just sharing some of the content out of your book. And people are afraid to sometimes share content out of the book. And it's like, well, you know what? They're going to read it eventually. So just start getting it out there. I know one guy, he started a year before his book launch, and he literally just pretty much put out a page a day with the content from his book for the entire year. And then he was ready to launch it. But he was keeping people on the journey all the way through. So I think that's really what it is. It's just inviting people on the journey with you. You know the date you want to launch your book. Now you start backtracking, and you want to invite them on the journey up until that. So you want to create value, you want to create interest, you want to create intrigue, you want to get feedback, you want to get dialogue. And I think that's the greatest way to do it. And the best time to start is yesterday.
Are you familiar with an AI called Notebook LM?
Yes.
Okay. Since I finished writing my book, it's in beta read now. And so I said, okay, let me just try. So I put my book in there, and I said, give me a PowerPoint. And it just blew me away as to the level and the correctness and the consistency. So I said, okay, give me a video. And okay, give me an infographic. That tool is so valuable that I think almost any author, if they're looking at being able to produce some really good quality professional images that they can use as part of their marketing program, it's really and truly a godsend because it's there, it's free, and it doesn't take much effort to figure out what to do. So anyway, I'll pass that on because I was really and truly, whoa. In fact, in a couple hours, I'll be showing the world, a series of the ones that it generated for me. But
Yeah.
very, very good tool for authors.
Yes, no, absolutely. I mean, with the age that we're living in right now with AI, yeah, there's no excuse not to use it. There's no excuse not to have some good social media content, some good graphics, like you say, presentations, slideshows, all those different things can be created right from your book. And the great thing about them is, they'll develop them. And then you can say, well, I need to tweak this one or adjust this one, and you can fine tune it, get your colors, get everything just right for it. And so you can continue to play with it. The other thing you can do is you can kind of use it to help you with the content in the book. So you could put your book in there. Let's say you're going through, the alpha stage, the beta stage, and just reading it. You could put your book into a good AI and say, what is missing out of this? Like, what element am I not focused on? What am I missing that is searchable, that is people are asking about, people are looking for today? And so it will give you ideas of things that perhaps are missing that you could consider adding in there and writing on. So there's so many valuable ways to use AI today. And like you say, a lot of the resources are free. There's absolutely no reason not to use them.
I think one of the best resources for authors is being able to create a video, literally in 10 minutes from nothing. And so that is a major, I think, plus for any kind of marketing thing. 35-second, 45-second, a minute video, you put it out there as a reel, put it on social media, and it literally takes, I'm serious, from thought process to half finished product that you're hitting upload onto Facebook or whatever, about 10 minutes.
Yeah. And the great thing about videos is we're in an age now where people love it. They get attention. People can hit them and they play. They're quick. They get to the point. They're visual. They capture all the senses and bring them in there. So yeah, videos are absolutely amazing to use.
Okay, so you do ebooks and you do paperbacks, audiobooks.
I'm starting to get into audio. Yeah, I've just kind of connected with a new platform where we're going to start doing that. And so to use AI again, I can give a short little sample of my voice, and now this thing can produce an entire ebook in a couple of hours using my voice.
Somebody mentioned to me 11 Labs or something like that. I think it was the one that they were saying that I should consider, because I certainly have a lot of videos I've done, and my voice is easily found almost anywhere, so it would not be difficult to do. But that's something that I also want to do, is have it done in my voice, but using AI to generate that. So,
Yeah. No.
Your hardcover books, how do you work those?
With physical copies, is that what you asked? Sorry.
Yeah, hardcover. It's like the paperback. It's the same content, but you have a different cover, and usually you have to go to Ingram Spark or whatever. Although now KDP Amazon will do that for you, but it's a little extra difficult because of the cover requirement. And in fact, I have one client right now, cannot get the designer to do the hardcover right. Every time I get one, it's not passing the previewer. This is an error here, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Have you seen similar problems?
Yeah, no, it can be, and sometimes it's just as simple as bringing the bleed out a little bit further on the copy. But yeah, it does get a little bit finicky sometimes to get them. I've got a couple of good book cover artists that I use, personally to create covers for myself and my clients, and they've got it down pretty good. So I don't play around with it too much. If there's a problem, I just send it back to them and say, hey, we got a problem, Houston. Let's get this fixed up. But you're right. Sometimes, truthfully, sometimes you can upload the same cover a couple of times, and the second time it'll work. Like, it's just, sometimes it's just a little glitch. But yeah, it can be a little frustrating.
I published my first ebook and paperback in German this past week, so I was pretty happy about that.
Great.
But my concern with when you start getting into covers and stuff is I usually use Fiverr. Like I say, you have a couple of guys that do it for a living. This is the first time I've used AI to generate a book cover, and I was literally amazed at how impressive it is. So that's another source, a free source. But when you get ready to come down to having the actual, say paperback cover, you need the front and the back and the spine in JPEG format. So it may be able to give you an advanced set of things to look at. And so that's another source, I think, for writers to consider, is using your AI to generate some covers.
Yeah, because truthfully, that's how we came up with the cover for this book. I just used chat. I said, give me three ideas for book covers. It gave me 3 ideas. One was kind of a brown leather look, one was blue historic look, and then one was this simple off-white look. And so I played around and tweaked it a little bit, and then I just forwarded the image that I liked. I forwarded it over to my book cover artist and said, here, this is what I want, reproduce this. And then he was able to reproduce it into the ebook format so we could use the front cover. And then when it was time to do the full book, then he did the back cover, the spine, and the front cover. And so he was able to take the image from ChatGPT and just reproduce it. And yeah, he almost got it spot on. Sometimes the stuff that's generated with AI isn't always 100% reproducible, if that's a good word, but they can get really, really close with the images. And oftentimes with chat or other AIs, you can direct it with the fonts, with the types, the typeset and so on, and colors. So you can dictate what the colors are, what fonts are used, and so on, so that they can be reproduced a lot easier with a graphic artist, using Adobe or some other platform. So yeah, it's a great way to start.
Okay, you work with a lot of business people and things, and if you're working with them to be an author, just like the books you produce, a lot of business kinds of books. What social media do you go to, and how often do you post?
So yeah, so with social media, depending on the person, Instagram works really well for almost every platform. A lot of business professionals tend to like and do better on LinkedIn, and then others use Facebook. And so I use Facebook probably more than I use Instagram or LinkedIn, and I've done really well with that. So I use that, and then so depending on the campaign, depending on where I am in the campaign, it could go anywhere from once a day to 3 times a day. I don't think there's such a thing as too much, especially as we're starting to push books out and when we're wanting to launch and so on. If we did it 5 times a day, the chances of one person seeing all 5 posts is very slim. They have to be really close to your circle. So you want to put out more, because then it's going to start to work with the algorithms. It's going to start to push it out a little bit further. And so you want to, in my opinion, post more often than not when it comes to doing book launches and stuff. So I'll go anywhere from 1 a day to 5 times a day, depending on what we're doing. Like, for example, when we did our Legacy in Ink, when we did the full event, we were doing 3 to 5 times a day for the last 30 days, just putting stuff out there, just because we wanted it to push and get out further and further.
Well, that was worth the cost of admission today. That's some exceptionally good advice for authors. That in fact, almost anybody who's trying to market their business.
Yeah,
we're getting toward the end of the show, Jim. How do people reach you to be a client of yours, or how do they buy your books? So tell us that, please.
Yeah. So all my books are on Amazon, but I love people to come to my website, because I always promote and push things from my website, and I encourage my clients to do the same thing. You don't want them to become, Jeff Bezos' contact. You want them to become your contact. I got nothing against Amazon and Jeff Bezos. I love them. I use those platforms, but I want people to be my clients, and I want them to connect with me. So the best way to reach me is at my website, jimh360.com, my 360 site. On there, all my social media contacts, my cell phone number, everything is on there that you can reach. And you can actually even book a call with me. If somebody wanted to book a call, we can have a strategy session. We could have a discovery call to just see if we're a good fit together. Link to my website, everything is on that one site.
One of the things I learned very recently was that as an author, you can become an Amazon affiliate, put the link on your website, and then you get paid at the royalty for your book, but you also get paid the finder's fee for the book. and that kind of helps the authors just a little bit more. So,
sure, yeah, no, and that's a great way to great thing to consider. Like I said, I always encourage my writers, and I do the same thing. I keep a pile of books in my office, and I'm ready to mail them out if someone does. And to me, there's nothing better than having an autographed copy right from the author. Right, that's something that hasn't been able to be reproduced on Amazon. I probably shouldn't have said that too loud, because they'll start working on that now. But right now they can get it right from you, autographed, signed directly to them, and now you've got a contact that you can nurture.
Jim, great chatting with you today. I look forward to our next visit, and we will catch you down the road then.
Thanks, Red. Good to see you.
Wrapping up the Corner Bookstore today. Again, if you're watching the show on YouTube, really appreciate your subscription. If you're not subscribing, we're on the USA Global TV and Radio Network channel on YouTube, and also on the Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck channel. My next show is in about 24 minutes. It's called The Wise Ones, and then I have another show immediately after that called Talking Heads. And my talk today on Talking Heads is going to be, what if aging is more predictable than we think? There are a lot of information out there. It's the beginning of my marketing campaign for my book, Aging Sucks. Going to conclude today's show and get ready for the next one. And I look forward to you joining me either live on the shows by going to YouTube or catching the archive versions on YouTube. Take care of you all, and we'll catch you out. Bye now.
My Tummy Hurts by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Meet Jackie. She loves recess, running with friends, and laughing on the playground. At school, Jackie tries to play like she always does, but suddenly the pain comes back. Lately, something feels different and her tummy hurts, sometimes a little and sometimes a lot. With the help of a caring teacher, a nurse, her mom, and a kind doctor, Jackie begins to understand what her body is trying to tell her. Sometimes tummy pain is more than a simple bellyache. Some children live with conditions like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Jackie listens to her body. She asks for help. She knows she's not alone. And Jackie finds her way back to running, laughing, and being herself. My Tummy Hurts, a kid's guide to bellyaches and bathroom troubles by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, available on Amazon and in fine bookstores around the world.
Hey you, psst, yes you, watching this right now. Are you creating content, a blog, a podcast, a newsletter, going live on Instagram or TikTok, and still not seeing real visibility or growth? Here's why. Anyone can post, anyone can go live, but not everyone is positioned to be taken seriously. Right now, people are going to YouTube to search for experts, for answers, for credibility. So while you're putting in the work, someone else is being seen as the authority. Not because they know more, because they're positioned better. Now imagine this. Your own professionally produced TV show, marketed, distributed, optimized with SEO so people can actually find you. Not just seen, but searchable, discoverable, positioned. You're trained, you're coached, you're guided. No experience necessary, but you do have to be coachable, because this is about stepping into a higher level. This isn't about doing more, it's about doing it right. We've already built the platform, 2 YouTube channels, a global audience, a Silver Creator Award. So the question is, how much longer are you going to rely on temporary visibility when you could be building real authority? If you're ready to be seen differently, go to usaglobaltv.com and apply to host your own show. This is for individuals who are serious about investing in their visibility, their credibility, and their growth. If that's you, we're ready. USA Global TV and Radio, where your voice becomes your platform. Executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Videographer, Paul Garcia. Voiceover, Ed Vargas. All rights reserved. This production is the exclusive property of the USA Global TV and Radio and may not be reproduced, distributed, or used without written permission.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.